back to Winning Whiskey. I'm Callum.
Sam.
Today we're going to go 5 introductory bourbons.
Alrighty, so first we're going with Old Forester. Now this is just their stock standard bourbon.
Yep.
We kind of picked a few different ones for different reasons, because like you could make a top 5, introductory bourbons, and they'd all be introductory for the same reason, but they're kind of different categories within themselves. So the Old Forester is going to be, I guess, a bit more high in the kind of like tannins and stuff kind of flavors, a lot of brown sugars. It's a really fantastic overall bourbon. Now, if we're talking Australia, it's not the easiest to find, and price-wise.
I think it is becoming easier to find.
It's becoming easier, and it's got an insane distribution in America, but here it's like just kind of started to bleed over.
Yeah.
Thankfully, because it's damn good. Was it 40% or is it a little bit higher? 40%. For that reason, it is good for introductory bourbons, because even though bourbons have a relatively friendly flavor profile, note-wise compared to scotches, if you're just kind of thinking about like descriptors, kind of those kinds of words you use as descriptors for the notes, if you say it to someone who's never had them before, normally they're going to sway towards bourbon sounding better. So yeah, Old Forester, it's damn good, but there's also, if you're not introductory but you want Old Forester anyway, there is the 1920 Prohibition style. That one's a kick up the arse, but it is phenomenal. But it's
good luck finding it though.
Yeah, we got sent it by Roy when he was in America. So again, thank you, Roy. But otherwise, I don't know how much luck you're gonna have finding it over here. But anyone in America or anywhere else that has can find any access to it, the Prohibition style is damn good as well. But definitely not introductory. It's like 59% or something.
I'm getting a lot of
nice warm spice.
I'm getting that banana note on this. No, it's not intense, but it's there.
A little bit actually, yeah. But a lot of wood tannins, a lot of brown sugars,
spice, like you said. Getting some raisins as well.
Ooh. First whiskey of the day. First whiskey of the week.
Yep.
It's been a week since I had any whiskey. Yeah, it's damn good.
Cocoa.
It smells like high proof than it tastes. Like it smells pretty hot. Not with like ethanol flavors, but it just smells like quite lively. It tastes lively, but not. It's pretty easygoing. There's no real ethanol burn or anything like that.
It's also really good because it's pretty cheap as well.
Yeah, what's the price on this one?
I'll put the prices on the screen.
Put the prices up,
but
they're all relatively, but yeah, also with the prices, they're Australian, so if you're in America, Australia's numbers are going to be double what you actually pay.
Yeah.
And that's at least because we're also paying extra for all the taxes and stuff.
Yeah. Alrighty, second on the list is the Balcones Baby Blue. Yeah. This isn't necessarily my favourite Balcones. But
not.
I do agree with Sam, because I think it was last video, or the one before, we both came to the conclusion that it was probably one of the best introductions to Texas bourbon.
Yeah. So Balcones, Texas distillery. It's not technically a bourbon, like label-wise they call it, I think it's all corn. So it's one of those things, I can't remember, I probably should have brushed up on it before we did the video, but it's basically designations in America are very strict when it becomes something that isn't specifically what designates bourbon mash bill wise, or barreling is actually it might be a used barrel instead of a new oak barrel, and that immediately cancels it out to be called bourbon. So you have to change it to it's a bourbon mash bill aged in used oak barrel, something like that. They can't legally have it as bourbon, but essentially it's bourbon and it's Texas, so we just kind of wanted to add that in there because it's growing in popularity and production, not just Balcones but new distilleries popping up in Texas, but it's also unique and damn good. So we thought if we're going to put something in introductory wise for Texas, we were deciding between that or the yellow rose, but the proof on the yellow rose is quite a bit higher. Baby Blue is their really mellow patented, but their go-to base blend of corn, 46%, but it doesn't taste quite 46. It tastes a bit lower.
No.
It's quite easy going, but overall a damn good whiskey. You're gonna get more of those caramelized, a little bit of that rubbery note that we often get from Balcones.
Yeah.
But overall, just a lot of caramelization, a lot of sweetness, a little bit of kind of like coffee, chocolate notes, but overall definitely not like a super challenging whiskey.
Sticky nose, isn't it? I get like burning plastic with Play-Doh.
I don't get that much off the baby blue. I get off the others, but
Coming off
that, I guess, a little
coming off the Old Forester.
Yeah.
Huge difference. When you go back to like their main core or like their ones that we associate with like Balcones. Nowhere near the amount.
Yeah, so if we're looking in the grand scheme of things on a spectrum of like Balcones on the same spectrum as these others, Balcones is still probably going to be
sticks out
quite a bit more, unique but more challenging. But if we're looking at recommending an introductory Texas whiskey, Baby Blue is the one we'll recommend. Alrighty, so third, this is a distillery that's near and dear to our heart. So this is Russell's Reserve. It's Wild Turkey, or it's the same distillers as Wild Turkey. I think, is it Eddie Russell?
Eddie and Jimmy.
Yeah, so Jimmy Russell is the head distiller at Wild Turkey, and him and Eddie Russell created the Russell's line. Quite similar with the flavor profile as Wild Turkey. A lot of like kind of nice dry tannic notes, some herbal kind of black tea notes and stuff.
Yeah.
But basically, the 10 for a 10-year-old bourbon, 45%, price-wise is damn good. And
from memory, it's about 60-ish Australian.
Yeah, like I was really impressed by that. Like the single barrel or something like that is my favorite of the Russells. It's like 50%. It's really kind of neck and neck for me between that or the rare breed kind of going. It's like my favorites from that overall kind of like distillery. But the Russell's 10, it's really mellow in the fact that it's 10 years aged. It's got some really nice round vanilla sweet notes. But it's also got that nice dry kind of rye impact because there seems to be a decent amount of rye in the mash bill. Nice herbal black tea notes. Overall, just a damn good one to get into. The 45% may be a little bit high for some people, but you don't really notice it. Like, it's pretty mellow with the taste.
I was going to say, if you don't want to spend $60, or if that 45% ABV kind of throws you off, check out just the regular Wild Turkey, the ones at 40%, because it's $20 cheaper to start with. And they're along the same kind of lines in terms of flavor profile.
Just don't stick your nose up at the fact that it's Wild Turkey, because like we did that initially. We're like, Wild Turkey, never thought that
my
was
favorite
particularly
distillery,
a good distillery. But bourbon wise, like it's one of our favorites. Like they're damn good. The 101, bang for your buck. Holy crap, that's a damn good whiskey. And like the whiskey community, bourbon drinkers, like they hold that in pretty high esteem. So definitely, once if you are partial to the Wild Turkey distillery, whether it be the Russell's brand or the Wild Turkey brand, you want to move up and try something a bit stronger, try the 101. It's really, really good.
Take it a step further, rare breed. That's amazing.
Definitely not from introductory, but Cherry Bomb from the rare breed, another amazing one. I think that's my favorite from the lineup. Like I know you like the
I like the Kentucky Spirit.
But
only because it was so hard to find.
And
it kind of cost a little bit of money.
But for me, price-wise and flavor-wise, the rare breed just takes the cake. It's so damn good.
All right, Weller Special Reserve is next on the list. This is impossible to find in Australia.
It's pretty.
I was searching for probably a year because I saw it got reviewed by all the American channels. And I was like, oh, that sounds really nice. Could not find it at all here.
Nick's, as usual, Nick's wine merchant is the way to go if you're in Melbourne. Anywhere else in Australia, don't know. Anywhere else in the world, we just assume that you have better distribution than we do because that's just normally the way it goes.
Exactly.
Weller is very, very popular. Over here, it's not particularly cheap.
I think it was
around $80-ish.
$85.
So introductory, but like a little bit fancy. Well, if you're here, I think overseas, especially America, this probably is like quite budget. And then it's introductory for a different reason. We're going with it because for here it's like a fancy but really mellow introductory bourbon. Over with you, it might be damn budget and really mellow introductory bourbon. The reason for that is the wheat aspect of the mash bill.
Yeah,
they replaced that with the rye most of the time. I believe that's what Maker's Mark does as well. It adds just kind of like a creamier taste, it backs off the bitter herbal notes. So wheat really does kind of just add a more mellow layer. It replaces one of the more challenging layers of bourbon with a more mellow layer. So it's a good way to head if you're new to bourbon, you want to steer clear of any rye notes, is look for a wheated bourbon, because it really does make it more mellow and more approachable.
I get fruitiness in this. I don't know if it's the wheat.
I get a creamier note with wheat, generally.
I get like a creamy, fruitier note.
Actually, yeah.
Over like all the rest.
More juicy juicy apples. Yeah, it's got your typical bourbon notes, like your apple pie, your cinnamon, like baking spices, brown sugar, wood tannins, but it seems to be less kind of greenery and herbal notes and a bit more of the fruity, sweeter kind of like stuff. And again, price wise, it's gonna vary depending on where the hell you are. A lot.
If you can even find it.
Like over in America, I don't like halve it, $40, but I think it's even like greater than it's probably like $30.
I think it's even. I'm pretty
sure. Depends
on
the region again, because even America's regions like very like crazy.
I feel Bourbon of the Week. I don't even know if he still watches this. He used to comment on our videos. He reviewed it and he said it was like $16. I think he lives in Pennsylvania or something like that.
$16.
So $16. We get it for 85. It's like 4 times. We pay for like 4 times.
Right. Well, we're getting absolutely scammed. But whatever. It's a good bourbon. Tasting it, I haven't tasted it in ages. It's so fruity and sweet and smooth. Like there's nothing challenging about it whatsoever. There's none of those dry herbal notes. The rye aspect is completely like just kind of diverted away. So you skip that challenging step if it's challenging for you, which is generally for newcomers, the rye spice is something you have to kind of like, not build up a tolerance for, but it's more of an acquired taste. You normally enjoy that after you've enjoyed bourbon. Alrighty, so last on the list is, if you're not new to bourbon, it's going to be damn obvious why. Bullet Bourbon is just, I'm pretty sure it's MGP, Midwestern Grain Product. It's like the largest distillery in the Midwest. It's like it's massive. They basically just produce a metric crap ton. Jesus, I keep spilling this whiskey all over myself. Of whiskey for basically all of America for independent distillers and all these different things. Basically, it's going to be, I don't think it's wheated, I think it's got a rye in the mash bill, but it's just so easy going. One interesting thing though, just to quickly divert, it's now 45 where we get it. This bottle is 40%. Yeah, Bullet Bourbon, it's dirt cheap in America. It's pretty cheap here. It's like $40 here, 45. Which is pretty much as cheap as it gets for a decent bourbon.
I would say they're around the same kind of size as like Jim Beam and Jack as well. Maybe a touch smaller, but they've got like all the pre-mixed
brand wise. Well. Yes, the actual producer MGP is definitely as big as that. Like they're massive. They're so big. So if you worry about flavor drift over time, they're way too big for that. So you probably, no matter what, you're tasting the same goddamn one. But yeah, overall,
if you're watching this video, I highly doubt you care about flavor drift.
No.
Introductory bourbons.
Well, yeah.
Flavor drift.
Well, yeah. Right. Yeah. Overall, it's just classic bourbon notes. A little bit on the dry side. Super mellow. Super affordable. It's everywhere. I think that's like another thing for introductory bourbons that you got to think about. Some of them we didn't think about that, but you got to also kind of take into account availability. If it's something you like or something you want to try, like say you see this video, you want to try it, we're hoping that you should be able to at least find one of these. Definitely going to be able to find Bullet no matter where you are, so don't stress about that. The others, it'll depend, but overall they all should have relatively good distribution, except for the Wellers. I think it's actually the only one in Australia that might be a bit harder.
Old Forester.
No, but they sell it at Dan's now, and Dan's is everywhere in Australia, so they should be fine. Same with the Balcones as well.
Yeah.
So overall, everything here should be relatively easy for you to track down.
There is also 2 others that I would add. Jim Beam and Jack. You can't really go wrong with them.
But
they're not here because
I really like them going off the bat. But again, that's totally preference-wise. Everything you find, including this list, is just personal preference. There's 20 others we could have added to this. If you want, like, you can go for the fully budget ones, because introductory probably won't want to spend a ton on the bottle itself. So go budget, but it just depends. It depends on a million different things. So this is what we think. Let us know what you think your top 5 would be, the things that you started with, the things you wish you didn't start with that scared you off, stuff like that. But yeah, otherwise, if you enjoyed this episode of Everything Whiskey, leave us a like and see future episodes from us. Maybe consider hitting that subscribe button. If you do, see you next one. Cheers.